Ilaix Moriba, once hailed as one of the most exciting young talents to come through La Masia, Barcelona's famed youth academy. A young midfielder with incredible technique, strength, and vision, he seemed destined for greatness. Fans were calling him the next Paul Pogba, and his performances for Barcelona's first team when he got his opportunity only solidified that belief. But within a year, his career came crashing down. A contract dispute with Barcelona sent Moriba down a path that would forever change his career. He made one choice that cost him everything, and he struggled to recover ever since. Today, we're uncovering the story of how Ilaix Moriba went from being one of the brightest young stars in European football to a player who was lost in the wilderness after ruining his Barcelona career. Born in Conakry, Guinea in 2003 and raised in Spain, Ilaix Moriba was a football prodigy from an early age. He joined Barcelona's La Masia Academy at just 7 years old, where his technical skills, his vision, and his physicality made him stand out from all of his peers. Moriba's potential was undeniable, and by the time that he was a teenager, well, he earned a reputation as one of the best players in all of Spain at academy level. His comparisons to Paul Pogba were not just based on his style of play, but his physicality and his ability to dominate the midfield. It wasn't long before Moriba broke into Barcelona's first team under Ronald Koeman. He became a regular feature during the 2020-21 season, showing flashes of brilliance, scoring goals, and even assisting the likes of the incredible Lionel Messi. He seemed destined to be the next great Barcelona midfielder, ready to follow in the footsteps of players like Xavi, Iniesta, and Sergio Busquets. But then, just as quickly as he had risen, everything came crashing down. And let's not forget the fact that Moriba at the time was seen as the star boy in the squad. He was that young player that burst onto the scene for Barcelona, ready to replace the aging stars in the squad. But in the summer of 2021, Moriba's future at Barcelona took a dramatic turn. His contract was set to expire within a year, and the club was eager to tie him down with a long-term deal. But what should have been a routine negotiation became a bitter dispute. Moriba and his representatives demanded a significant salary increase, one that Barcelona, while they were struggling financially due to the pandemic, they were not willing to meet his demands. The club viewed him as a talented prospect, but his demands were seen as excessive, especially for a player who had only been playing for the club for 6 months. Reports emerged that Moriba's agents were pushing for a deal that would put him amongst the highest paid young players in all of Europe, a request that clashed with Barcelona's financial reality. Club president at the time, Joan Laporta, publicly criticized the player's entourage, calling his demands unrealistic and accusing them of greed. Moriba, who was just 18 years old at the time, became the center of a media storm. Fans who had once adored him began to turn against him. They saw him as someone who was putting money before loyalty and ambition. The pressure was mounting, and Moriba made a decision that would define the rest of his career. When Barcelona refused to meet Moriba's demands, the young midfielder made a shocking move. He left Barcelona, the club that had nurtured him for over a decade, and signed with RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga for a fee around 16 million euros. On paper, it looked like a decent move. Leipzig had a reputation for developing young players, and Moriba believed that he could take the next step in his career with a move to Germany. But the decision to leave Barcelona for financial reasons had already damaged his reputation. Moriba's time at Leipzig started off poorly. He struggled to adapt to the fast-paced and physically demanding league, and his lack of playing time became a major issue. In his first season, he made a few appearances for the club before finding himself on the bench and then ultimately going on loan to Valencia for the rest of the season. The numbers didn't lie. Moriba's time at RB Leipzig was nothing short of disappointing. In his first season, the player only picked up 2 Bundesliga appearances, 1 appearance in the Cup, and 3 appearances in the UEFA Champions League, before being loaned out to Valencia, where he only managed 4 appearances in the Copa del Rey, 14 appearances in La Liga, and was mostly known for picking up 7 yellow cards during this time. He recorded 0 goals, 0 assists, and with a few minutes on the pitch, this was a player who had left Barcelona with so much promise, and yet his fall from grace was shocking. And to make matters worse, his off-the-pitch issues began to surface. It was reported that Moriba struggled to integrate into the Leipzig squad, and there were rumors that his attitude was an issue. The contract dispute with Barcelona had left a stain on his reputation, and it seemed to follow him wherever he went. By the time the 2022-23 season came along, Leipzig had already wanted to move on from Moriba. They sent Moriba out on loan to Valencia in Spain, hoping that he could rediscover his form. But even back in La Liga, Moriba just struggled to make an impact. The once promising Wonderkid had become a player trying to salvage his career at such a young age. Ilaix Moriba's career trajectory is a cautionary tale of how quickly things can change in football. At Barcelona, he had the world at his feet. He had players like Lionel Messi calling to keep him in the squad. And he was a player with all the tools to become one of the best midfielders in Europe. But the decision to prioritize money over development ultimately derailed his progress. After his failed spell at RB Leipzig, Moriba returned to La Liga with Valencia on loan, and this was followed by a couple of more seasons out on loan in Spain, with clubs like Getafe and Celta Vigo. While there were some bright moments, including some solid performances in Copa del Rey matches, he never fully regained the form that he once had while he was playing at Barcelona. His loan spells became more about survival rather than growth. The financial demands that once seemed justified now seemed like a huge miscalculation. Moriba, once the golden boy of La Masia alongside Ansu Fati, was now a journeyman midfielder, still trying to find his place in professional football. Many within the footballing world had strong opinions on what went wrong for Ilaix Moriba. Former Barcelona players and coaches expressed their disappointment in how the situation unfolded. Ronald Koeman, who gave Moriba his first team debut, said that he was disappointed by the way the player's career had developed. Barcelona fans too were left frustrated. They saw Moriba's contract dispute as a sign of misplaced priorities. In their eyes, he was more focused on the money than on earning his place in the squad and continuing his development at Barcelona. Football pundits often pointed to the role of the agents in his downfall, but the biggest nail in the coffin came from President Joan Laporta, who said that his greediness was something that they did not want at Barcelona. They were afraid that he would influence other players to chase the money over the passion to play for the badge. Moriba's representatives were criticized for pushing him into a financial decision at such a young age, and this decision may have benefited them, but it ultimately hurt his career. For a player with so much talent, the general consensus was that he had thrown away his chance at greatness by focusing on the wrong things. Moriba is still in his early 20s, and he still has time to turn his career around. Whether it's at Barcelona or not, there are many clubs that can still do with a player who has a point to prove. He has shown flashes of the talent while on loan at Celta Vigo, and these are the performances that made him one of the most exciting young players at one point. But right now, he is a player that needs to show the world what he can do. it's clear that the decisions that he made early on in his career have made lasting consequences for the player, but Moriba's story is a reminder that football, it's not just about talent. It's about making the right decisions and staying grounded and focused on what matters the most: your development on the pitch. The allure of big contracts and financial rewards, well, that can be tempting. But for players like Ilaix Moriba, it came at a massive cost. Whether he can find his way back to the top remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain: he will have to work harder than ever before to repair the damage that has already been done.